We're back to talk the last two episodes of Little Brother with the last two, the eviction and this new episode. We'll start with the episode from last Tuesday. And we'll start with the confrontation, kind of, between Monet and Dee Dee.
Yeah, that was very saucy to watch. I didn't really understand why Monet was so upset and why she felt the need to confront Dee when she was, up for elimination. Like, that's
not the best timing.
Little risky. But Dee definitely threw them under the bus. She threw them under the bus for show.
Yeah, I mean, Monet was kind of like, what's it called when you're just caught up in a situation?
Emotional?
Collateral damage, kind of.
Oh, that's... Okay.
I mean, she was, like, she...
Oh, yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to get that from that.
Dee Dee was throwing the whole group under the bus, and so...
Right. Yeah.
She would kind of got cut on that, too.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like out of everyone, she's the most upset about it.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And people are starting to take advantage of her feeling that way, too.
It is true.
Also in that episode is... Alex is doing a pretty good job, I feel. Is like, we said, or you said, that he wasn't in the middle of the episode before, but he's working to get into that middle, trying to get along better with Meg and Fanguy, and they're both starting to believe him more, it seems.
I did write down, I was like, you know what, Alex might be back in the middle after that discussion with Fanguy. Fanguy did seem to believe that, something weird may have happened with the vote. Finally, people are starting to realize that maybe an advantage was played, or that Aspen's a liar, which both things are true. Yeah, Alex he's doing what everyone should have feared he would do if given a little bit of wiggle room. He is bettering his position, so.
Yeah, he keeps opening that wiggle room wider and wider. And I think Fanguy and others may have come to this conclusion sooner if they would listen to Nav, who's told them that there was a switch vote, he knows. But
it's true.
Like, what are your overall feelings on the split house dynamics going on?
I think what's annoying me the most about the split house is the fact that no one wants to be open about who they're working with. Like, it's very obvious that it is a split house, and to me the sides are clear, other than where Dee Dee stands. But I feel like, Meg is like, oh, I'm not working with Dazed. I don't have a final three with Dazed and Fanguy. Yes, you do! You just said in the last episode that you guys wanted to pull Dazed in as a third over Nav. So, like, that's really annoying that they're, like, Meg's like, trying to tell Leanna, like, oh, no, like, I owed him a favor. We're not working together. And then on the flip side, when Dazed... I'm going ahead of myself, but when Days confronts Leanna about her working with Alex, Leanna's like, I ain't working with no Alex. Yes, you are! Like, I just don't understand why no one will just be honest about who they're working with, because everyone in the game is spot on in their assessments of who's working together. Yet, they all want to insult each other's intelligence, and it's kind of irritating to watch.
Do you think this is their way of trying to keep the game fluid that it's been this entire game so far?
Say what?
Like, do you think this is their idea to try and keep the game fluid like it has been so far? It's like, we're not going to totally be set on this side, because maybe they're not.
No, I think they're all just trying to pretend like the game is more fluid than it is, but...
Yeah, it's far from a classic Big Brother seasons back in the day where there would be split houses that just hated each other and would know who's on each side and just go to war about it. You touched upon the Leanna Days confrontation. Basically, Days trying to call Leanna out because earlier in the game he was Leanna was putting people together because they were saving people with vetoes, but she's denying the whole she's working with Alex, even though Alex saved her with the veto. Days likes getting these arguments and putting the
and he's not good at it.
The bigger target on his back, though. Like.
Yes, exactly. Like, when you get in an argument with someone and you rile someone up, you need to take a note from Deleon and make sure your target goes home. Like, all you do is just piss everyone off, and then you end up on the block. Ugh, it's so frustrating.
Speaking of Deleon, though, he unfortunately got hurt in real life, had to be pulled from the game.
Yeah, that was an upsetting way to see him go. I hope that he's doing well. I mean, you said he made a full recovery.
As far as I know, yeah.
I still hope that he's doing well and he continues to do well today. But I'm very sorry to see him go out like that. I think, to be honest, he would have left anyways.
So too.
But you want to see a nice, fair vote where he gets his moment to address the crowd and blow up people's games. So I'm a little sad that he didn't get the proper exit that he deserved. So.
Yeah. And Meg, her HOH overall, how are you feeling about it? Because, I mean, she had an assist from DeLeon being concussed that she gets no real blood on her hands and she gets her target out.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think she has made an enemy of DeLeon when it comes to jury votes. Like, I don't think she'll be his top choice, but because the vote didn't fully play out, I do think it works to her benefit for sure.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that episode you want to talk about?
I said LOL at Nav being honest. Now, come on, Nav.
I mean, he's been mostly honest.
Mostly being the asterisk. Him and Alex, they crack me up when they're like, oh my god, I'm like playing it honest this round. And I'm like, you being more honest than you were in your previous game, maybe, but enough.
Also, the HOH competition. Any thoughts on the whole putting their clothes on?
I would have smoked these hoes.
Even Monet?
In outerwear alone. Are you kidding me? Monet had the strategy that I would have taken, which is start with a couple halter tops, then cardigan, jacket, vest, overcoat. Like, yes, that's the way to go. Nothing over your head, really, unless it's like the first initial layers.
Someone in the comments said she looked like 80s Boy George after with a lot of clothes on, and she did. She was having that Boy George aesthetic for anybody that knows that aesthetic out there. Pretty funny.
One thing I will say, Leanna, this is going back a little bit, but Leanna trying to pretend like she was gonna vote out DeLeon over Nav. Not Leanna. This kind of goes back to what I was saying before, where it's just like, again, just be real about who you're working with. Leanna, no one's going to buy that you would vote out DeLeon over Nav. Like,
I mean, I think she was grasping at straws to find an idea of how to save everybody in her alliance.
Okay, but like you have to come up with things that are feasible and believable, and no one's gonna believe that you want Nav up as a pawn because DeLeon has been your target this whole game. Girl, nobody's gonna believe that.
Well, coming into Saturday night's episode, Monet HOH, her second of the season. But before that, a big kind of full circle moment is Didi and Alex actually wanting to work together.
Yeah, that was strange. I think I understand it a little bit more from Didi's perspective because I think in Didi's mind, there's still this targeting the winners. And so I think she wants to work with Alex because they're the only remaining winners, right? So I think I kind of understand why she was a little willing to do that, but overall it's kind of a strange union. I don't understand why Alex is down for it because he just said on the last episode that honestly they need to get rid of Dee because she is the true middle in the game and she kind of takes power away from Alex and Meg being the swing votes, which I do agree with. So I'm just a little confused as to how this is beneficial for Alex, but
I mean, I love it overall. I've gotten on so many podcasts for these games and been, these people are targeting each other so hard. Why don't they just work together for a while? Because, it's kind of the smart thing to do if everybody, can get the target off your back, too. And you can have numbers together, too. So, I mean, I don't hate it. I think, they're season past winners, and I think it could be the right thing.
That's true, but I do think that a buddying up for D is not the same as buddying up for Alex. Because, I think that for Alex, let's vote together for a couple of rounds. I think that's probably what he meant in that. But with D, it's just like, okay, I'm not targeting you. And you're not going to target me. But that doesn't mean I'm going to vote with you. So I don't think Alex has a voting block with D.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Didi. Does she really have voting blocks too?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so if you're saying the benefit of working with your enemy is that, you know, you guys kind of have power in numbers and that you can vote together, but no one's gonna manipulate. Dee doesn't decide who she's voting for until she flips that coin, you know, last minute. So, you know, you can't really put your faith in voting with someone like that.
So what is your initial thoughts on Monet's second HOH here, at least compared to her first? She's putting her foot down a little more. Kinda.
No, she's making the same old mistakes. She's still making the same old mistakes to me because, one, she's being too vocal about who all she's targeting. And I think that that's going to come back to bite her in the ass. And I also think that Monet is just too fickle. And, like, really, it's just a matter of who talks to Monet first. The order of the chats is essential for getting to Monet.
True.
And I think what happened...
Go on.
What?
I mean, the last chat was when she was actually putting her foot down, though.
After Meg and Dazed had already kind of... Well, Meg, really. Let's leave Dazed out of it. This was Meg's mastermind. Puppeteer, if we ever saw it. This was Meg masterminding this whole thing. She manipulated the fuck out of Monet. But yeah, she kind of strong-armed her. Not even strong-armed. She gentle-armed her like Mike did. Yeah. And it worked. And... now Dee might be a renom. But then, the thing that irritates me about it is that she's going around being like, yeah, you right, Dee my renom. And it's like, well, what the fuck happens when Dee wins the veto and then you can't renom her, but it's gonna inevitably get out that you're targeting her because you've told half the cast now. Now you've just, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't think that this is... Monet.
What do you think has made Dee finally a bigger target? Because last round she was being considered as a renom, and now again this round. Has she just told one too many things to people?
Yeah, I think that she messed over the wrong ally. And what's so funny is that I feel like Monet has more heat for Dee than she does for Leanna, who kind of started this whole thing in the first place. Like, don't get me wrong, Aspen definitely turned on the Women's Alliance first vote. So,
yeah.
Which is why the Women's Alliance has never been a thing, in my opinion. But Leanna really made the first strike with nominating Dee, and I feel like, again, Dee was just retaliating. So if you're going to have smoke for somebody, have it for Leanna, because she really is the reason behind the chasm in that alliance. But,
yeah, but I mean, I guess Leanna's her number one, so can't be mad at her number one.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why she's not mad.
Why do you think Alex and Leanna couldn't get through to Monet? Is it because they were bringing too much logic to the situation?
I think it's, again, like, I think that Meg and Dazed got to Monet first, and it was kind of like with the Mike thing where she's like, listen, I can't change my mind again. At some point, she's got to corral her twins. So you can change her mind once, which is why timing is so important with Monet. You get one chance to flip one of the twins, and then she's like, listen, I can't keep doing this because then I'm just going to be a fickle Libra moon, which she is. Yeah. But this is her attempting to, like, assert herself and be like, oh, no. I wasn't manipulated at all.
Mm-hmm.
So...
the bigger question, you probably don't know the answer to it because I don't know the answer to it. But why is suddenly Fan Guy... Monet does not want to put a Fan Guy.
I do, like, vaguely recall those two having a chat. I want to look back at my notes and see what it was about. Because I do think they had a positive chat.
I mean, it was after she nominated him the first time. I guess Monet just liked the way he took it on the chin. So... You know, not a really... Maybe the moon was aligning on their charts right that night, and that's why she didn't want to put him up, but... Let's
be clear. Monet went back, watched the old season, saw that Fan Guy was a Scorpio, and that just changed her whole gameplay. She ran his chart. She must have followed him on Instagram. She did some sleuthing. There are some dots that are not connecting for a reason, okay?
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with the conversation that they had in this game. But also, something that I wanted to bring up was just that I don't really get why Leanna is so against a Dee renom. Because again, Dee Dee is not. I don't know. This is weird because Dee did state that she's very close in the game. That her closest people are Leanna and Dazed,
Yeah.
which is very strange to me as a viewer. Like, I know that they made amends in the game. You couldn't tell by the chats, but I know that they're cool in the game now. So, but like, not enough for Leanna to be her number one.
Yeah.
And I just am confused as to Leanna doesn't have D as much as she thinks, because again, no one has D in my opinion. So like, I just don't get why she's so.
I think
against
Leanna's
it.
looking at this from like Big Brother perspective of a split house, where like if we lose somebody else, then that side, which might not be untrue, is like Nav, Van Guy, Meg, who am I forgetting? Dazed is all a foursome, and there's only 3 people left besides them.
I guess.
Get to your ups and downs. We will begin with Meg.
Meg, I have going down because she is on the block. Although she did do a really nice job at, manipulating Monet, and I was tempted to put her neutral because I think Meg is, even though she's up, I think she's in a good position. And Dave's saying that he likes his chances against Meg, you're delusional.
Yeah. I think that goes back to Dave's read on the board isn't so hot.
Not at all. I think Meg is probably in a good position no matter what.
Yeah, it's crazy. She is on the block, so, put her down. But I do think, Meg's played a lot of games on this channel. I think so far, this might be her doing her best. Because she is positioned pretty good. How about Dazed?
Dazed is down. Dazed made a comment at the very end of the episode that he's like, in these games, I'm always target. Like, this is just par for the course. And it's like, actually, Dazed, you were playing such a good game until your HOH. Oh, well, actually, prior to that, when he was going so hard for Mike, Dazed was on no one's radar. So he really did this to himself, and I don't think he's gonna get out of it.
Yeah, before that, I will say there was a few people throwing out his name, but nobody was really going after him. It's kind of the fan guy syndrome you've talked about before. Maybe, is it a Scorpio thing?
This
Are we gonna
self-actualization?
Yeah, is it like that they just want to just talk themselves into being a target somehow?
Has to be. He just won't let himself be great, I guess.
How about D?
D I have down as well. Her name's getting thrown around a lot, and I do think Meg and Dazed have a really strong chance of winning a veto comp. And then also Fan Guy, if he wins the veto, he's going to take Meg down. Nav might also take Dazed down. So a D renom is looking very probable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Based on if she gets to play the veto or not. So, yeah, if she's up on the block, it might be a very close vote like we saw the first time she was up.
How about Leanna?
Leanna, I have neutral. Because, again, I get what you're saying about the split house and all that, but I still think that a D renom wouldn't be the worst for her game.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
And a D renom is worst case scenario. Best case scenario, Monet's nominations stay the same, and she loses someone from the other side. So Leanna's, not in an awful position. I wouldn't say she's up, but she's not in a terrible position.
Do you think Leanna would have if she tries and gets to Monet on a different day, do you think maybe you could get to Monet on a second day and maybe get to her first?
I think at this point, Monet didn't fucked up by saying who she would renom, so she might as well just nom D if she's...
I mean, it's true. People called out Daze for doing this during his HOH. Monet's named 4 targets before even nomming people.
People, you called out Dazed for naming.
Well, yeah, I did too, but I was not the only one. There were definitely people that cut.
I know, but it's just funny that you detached yourself from that. You are people. Yes, you called out Dazed for naming 5 targets. So you better call out Monet.
And I am. How about Nav?
For the first time, it pains me. Nav, baby, I'm gonna have to put you down.
Ooh, why?
Nav also might be a renom, and like you said, I do think that, there is a chance that Monet, you can just, throw a little tarot card in there, a little insight, and she might flip from D to Nav. And I mean, I haven't thought about what happens if Nav goes against Meg or against Dazed, but he still could be back up on the block and could potentially get back or porched doored, which is not great. Yeah. Something that Nav said in this episode, though, that I thought was just so interesting is, unlike Dazed and Fanguy, Nav is just so grounded. And I think it was after his conversation with Monet where he was like, oh, I was really expecting for her to say that I was going to be the nom, but then I had to remind myself that nobody's thinking about me.
Yeah.
And that actually these people don't see me as a threat. And I think having a healthy, dose of bitch ain't nobody thinking about you is actually kind of nice and refreshing in this game. And I think that's why Nav has been able to stay under the radar as long as he has.
Yeah, not a lot of players think that way. I think they are, and some of them make themselves the big target.
Is Nav a Taurus in stark contrast to the Scorpio
I feel like
energy?
he's a Libra.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, honestly. How about Fanguy? You have him up, I see. Is his flounder strategy paying off? Since that
his flounder strategy, not pufferfish. Yeah, Fanguy is doing well. He's just not the target for once. So he gets to hide. Yes, the flounder strategy. He gets to hide under the sand. His little eyes are peering out. He's just kind of like, is this me? Am I the one? And he's not the one, so he just gets to hide, and nobody's thinking about him right now. And for some reason, Monet has a hard-on for Fanguy. Not sure what he did to earn that. We'll never know, but
he did something with a soldier game, maybe.
Good for him.
How about Alex?
Alex I also have up. Kind of for the same reason as Fanguy.
Yeah, Alex he hasn't been on the block in weeks now.
They don't fuck around and let Alex win this game.
Lastly, Monet, I see you raced her down.
I don't think Oh, that's because I wanted to see how this episode concluded, because I wasn't sure if we were gonna see who got nominated to play the veto. Because if D gets selected to play the veto, I was gonna put her down.
Yeah, we won't know till the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I will just say I have Monet down because she just talks too much. She's so fickle. It's her toxic trait. And she talks way too much. And the fact that she's, like you said, she's named so many people, and in this game, it's gonna get around. Even if Nav never sees the block or D, it's gonna get around that they were heavily considered, and I don't think that works in her favor.
Yeah, Monet is somebody who I think, when in power, isn't always in the best. She doesn't position herself well. When she's out of power, though, she does a hell of a good job. But power and Libra Moon doesn't